Welcome back. Got some huge breaking royal news for you now. And it's this: a car carrying Prince Harry has arrived at Clarence House in London. Let's cross live now to GB News' royal correspondent Cameron Walker, who has that breaking news story for us. Cameron, it's raining cats and dogs, but it's all the sunshine is coming out for the royals.
Yeah, it certainly is, Martin, and it wasn't raining when Prince Harry arrived, and believe me, he is nice and dry inside Clarence. Journalists stood outside the gates, but yes, we have in the last 20 minutes spotted drive down the Mall here. Then they turned left round the back of St James's Palace and onto Cleveland Row, which is the back entrance of Clarence House, essentially the staff entrance and the visitor entrance. And Prince Harry's Range Rover was driven through the gates and obviously went into the grounds, meaning that as we speak, a meeting between King Charles and his youngest son, Prince Harry, is taking place. The first time since February of 2024, which of course was when King Charles announced that he had a cancer diagnosis, and since then they haven't really seen each other at all. There was a lot of speculation because of course Prince Harry was announced that he was coming back to the United Kingdom, and we thought, well, King Charles, is there going to be? But logistically, it wasn't going to be possible because King Charles has been in Scotland for the last couple of weeks. But he flew back down this afternoon and came back to Clarence House. He had one engagement to take part in an investiture, but then his diary was empty, and so was Prince Harry's until this evening. So it's a very small window, Martin. We're expecting it to be a very short meeting because we know that Prince Harry has to go off to another engagement with the Invictus Games later on tonight, which means it is going to be a relatively short meeting, which is very similar to last time. We thought, is the meeting going to take place at all? Because of course King Charles has to trust his son not to leak any of the private details which are taking part in this meeting. But to be honest, Martin, it is probably quite good news because it means there is some kind of reconciliation on the cards.
All right, family, let's settle in for this one because we have so much to unpack. This story about Prince Harry's reunion with his father, King Charles, is not just some passing headline. It's not just about a quick tea. It's about history, it's about healing, and it's about Harry once again showing who he really is, not just as a prince, not just as a duke, but as a man of integrity, of purpose, and of love. Now let's paint the picture. Harry is back in the UK on one of his purposeful trips. He didn't come to stir drama, he didn't come to chase attention. He came because he had work to do, because the Invictus Games, his creation, his legacy, needed his leadership. He had veterans to uplift, speeches to deliver, lives to inspire. But in the middle of this trip, something significant happened. The King was flown down from Scotland to London, Harry was already in the capital, and just like that, father and son sat down together at Clarence House for a private tea. Do you know how big that is? After years of cold shoulders, after endless tabloid-fueled rifts, this was no small thing. Buckingham Palace themselves confirmed it. That's important because you know the palace loves to play coy when it comes to Harry. How many times have we heard no plans for a meeting, or His Majesty's schedule is full whenever Harry was around? And suddenly they're confirming, yes, father and son met. That tells you everything. It tells you this wasn't casual. This was intentional. They wanted the world to know that Harry and his father sat down. And let's talk about the way Harry handled it. The man was snapped in the back of a Range Rover, leaving Clarence House after the meeting, and when asked later that evening about his father, Harry didn't make it dramatic. He didn't get shady, he didn't dodge. He simply smiled and said, "Yes, he's great, thank you. That's class, that's poise. That's Harry rising above all the noise and reminding everyone that this is still his father, this is still family." He gave the public a little reassurance without turning it into gossip. That's how you know Harry has matured in ways the rest of that family could never dream of. Because, let's be real, do we think William would have done that? William, who sulks at public events, who looks churlish and resentful every time his brother's name is mentioned. William, who has become the face of coldness and bitterness. No, William could never. And yet here's Harry, the one they tried to paint as a traitor, the one they dragged through the mud, being gracious and warm in the middle of it all. That is why the press and the courtiers cannot stand him, because he keeps proving them wrong. And then notice how Harry moved right on with his day. He didn't linger. He didn't run to a journalist to leak private details. He didn't let the reunion dominate the narrative. Instead, he went straight to the Invictus Horizons event and delivered a keynote speech that electrified the room. He said, "This is what Invictus does best. It catalyses change. It shows what is possible when courage is met with opportunity and when recovery is supported by respect and community." Do you see the weight of those words? Harry is telling the world that healing and transformation are always possible when you give people dignity, when you give them opportunity. And that message wasn't just for Invictus. That was a reflection of his own life, his own journey, even his own reunion with his father. Harry then made it clear that as proud as he is of what Invictus has achieved in its first decade, the next 10 years are even more critical. That's vision. That's legacy. While the other side of the family is obsessed with titles and photo ops, Harry is building institutions that will outlive him. He is changing lives, he is reshaping futures, and he is giving veterans around the world a reason to hope again. Tell me, who in the British royal family can say the same? And don't forget, this wasn't just some random tea. This reunion had been in the making for months. Harry's aides were spotted meeting with the King's Communications Secretary earlier this summer. And then came reports that Harry offered to share his diary dates with the palace so they wouldn't clash with royal events. That's not the behaviour of someone who wants a fight. That's the behaviour of a man extending an olive branch trying to build a bridge. And it worked, because here we are with father and son finally sitting down. Now the haters will twist this. They'll say Harry is desperate. They'll say Charles only did it for optics. They'll say Meghan has nothing to do with it. But the truth is right in front of us. Harry has consistently been the bigger person. He has consistently made moves to reconcile. And Meghan is the reason he has the strength and clarity to keep choosing dignity. Without her, he might have drowned in that toxic institution. But because of her, he is standing tall, building Invictus, raising a beautiful family, and still showing respect to the man who raised him, even after everything. That is the power of love, family, and purpose. This tea between Harry and Charles is symbolic. It says healing is possible. It says the monarchy still needs Harry more than Harry needs them. And it says that no matter how much the tabloids lie, Harry will continue to walk with integrity. He doesn't chase them, he doesn't stoop to their level, he doesn't let them dictate his life. And that's why they're so obsessed. That's why they can't let go. Because Harry has slipped out of their control, and every time he appears, he shines brighter than the rest of them combined. So family, let's take this moment for what it really is. A son showing respect to his father. A king finding time for the child who has been scapegoated for far too long. And a glimpse of what reconciliation might look like when people finally put aside the noise and focus on love, on family, and on the bigger picture. But let's be clear, if this reconciliation is to grow, it will be on Harry's terms. He will not allow Meghan to be disrespected, he will not allow his children to be sidelined, and he will not play puppet for courtiers and tabloids. That era is over. Harry has built his own life, his own empire, his own legacy, and the fact that King Charles recognises that enough to invite him for tea, that speaks volumes. Now, as we close, I want you all to sit with this. Harry didn't just walk into Clarence House as a son. He walked in as a leader, as a global figure, as a man respected far beyond Britain's shores. That meeting wasn't the monarchy doing Harry a favour, that was the monarchy needing Harry. And the world is finally beginning to see it. Family, let me know in the comments what you think this means. Do you see this as the beginning of real healing? Do you think the palace will honour Harry's olive branches, or do you think they'll fall back into old habits? Either way, one thing is certain. Harry and Meghan are thriving, they are winning, and they are showing us every single day what true strength looks like. Prince Harry shares feelings about King Charles after landmark reunion between father and son. His Majesty had a private tea with the Duke of Sussex this afternoon. Buckingham Palace has confirmed Prince Harry has shared an insight into his meeting with King Charles earlier today as he attended an event soon after the reunion. The Duke of Sussex was quizzed on the private tea he shared with the monarch at Clarence House on Wednesday. Earlier today, King Charles was flown down from Aberdeen Airport to London while Harry was in the capital as part of his 4-day trip to the UK, fuelling speculation of a meeting. The Duke was snapped in the back of a Range Rover moments before the audience with his father, which Buckingham Palace, confirming their reunion soon after their meeting, is understood to have lasted just under an hour, with Harry leaving Clarence House around 6:15 p.m. Immediately after their meeting, the Duke travelled across London to attend an event for his Invictus Games organisation. While at the engagement, Harry shared an update on his father when asked about the audience. "Yes, he's great, thank you," the Prince responded. The Duke was speaking while attending the first ever Invictus Horizons gathering elsewhere in the capital. The Invictus Games is an international multisport for wounded, injured and sick military service personnel, both serving and veterans. Harry, who founded the organisation in 2014 and serves as its patron, delivered a keynote address to attendees. "This is what Invictus does best. It catalyses change," Harry celebrated. "It shows what is possible when courage is met with opportunity and when recovery is supported by respect and community," the Prince continued. The Duke also stressed the best was yet to come, with the coming decade of Invictus proving critical. "That is why tonight is so important, because as proud as I am of our first decade, I know the next decade matters even more," he declared. Harry and King Charles's meeting appears to be a culmination of a months-long campaign between both parties. This summer, 2 of the Duke's aides were spotted at a meeting with the King's Communications Secretary, close to Buckingham Palace. Later, it is believed the Duke had offered to share diary dates with Charles and the royal family, seemingly in an effort to avoid engagement overlaps. The recent overtures and today's meeting would appear to suggest there is some willingness on both sides to start repairing bonds. And if you've enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single update, and if you want to support the work we do here, hit that super thanks button. Your support means the world, and it keeps the channel growing strong. Until next time, family, stay blessed, stay encouraged, and remember, Harry and Meghan keep winning, and there is nothing the haters can do about it.